Hello, my name is Dr. Stephen Hassan, and I just watched a video of a courageous former member, second generation member of the Moon cult, also in the media being called the Unification Church. I prefer talking about it as the Moon cult or the Moon organization because they have billions of dollars and hundreds of different friend groups and business entities. And it's all one pyramid structured destructive mind control cult, in my professional opinion. In watching this press conference, I had a number of important comments I wanted to make. First, I want to start by congratulating this young woman. Thank you for speaking out. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for enduring growing up in a mind control cult and having the courage to leave, even though your parents are still apparently involved. Secondly, I think it was absolutely despicable that the Moon cult had her parents message and say that she was a liar and that she was psychiatrically ill. Therefore, no one should listen to what she has to say. I want to say what she said is absolutely true. And I know I was in the Moon cult. I was a leader in the United States. I had many meetings with Moon personally, directly. This is a multi-billion-dollar cult with entities around the world, and they have been the subject of a lot of scrutiny because of the assassination of former Prime Minister Abe, allegedly because of his long-term support of the Moonies. I'm so happy that the Japanese people are up in arms, critical about this cult. Of course, people around the world don't know about the spiritual sales scam where Moon cult members were going to people's homes after they lost a loved one, a husband, a wife, a child, a parent, and basically extorting money out of them by saying that they were stuck in a low level of the spirit world, and only through the Moonies could there be a spiritual liberation ceremony to help. But you have to give the cult a lot of money. So the scam is well known by the Japanese public. And I think it is wonderful that this young woman is calling for an investigation and reevaluation of whether or not the Moonies should have tax exemption status. To that end, I want to talk about my doctoral dissertation, which is all about undue influence and the law. This dissertation is on my website, freedomofmind.com. It's also up on a professional scholarly platform called ProQuest. But essentially, I took all the major brainwashing models, connected it with trafficking law, labor and sex trafficking, which defines fraud, force, or coercion as being the elements of trafficking. And in my experience, directly as a Moon member who worked 18 to 21 hours a day, 7 days a week for no pay, I believe I was a labor trafficking victim. And I have a model that I use in my dissertation called the influence model. And basically, this side can be evaluated through my BITE model of mind control, behavior, information, thought, and emotional control. All of these variables are on my website as well as in the dissertation. And healthy organizations are honest, you have informed consent, you're allowed to read whatever you want to read, talk to whoever you want to talk to, you're allowed to question, you're allowed to leave without fear or harassment or intimidation. This framework of the BITE model and the influence continuum, plus Alan Shefflin, Professor Emeritus social influence model, which I detail in the dissertation, offers a framework whereby judges and lawmakers can evaluate healthy ethical organizations that influence, but allow people to have conscience, allow people free will and critical thinking, versus authoritarian mind control cults. Secondly, I want to just say I have a fondness for Japan. In listening to this young woman talk about mind control, this was a feature when I went to Japan after my first book, and then my second book was published there. Mind control is real, and people are being radicalized online in 2022. It's no longer necessary to get someone physically to an isolated location. Having cell phones offers mind controllers a unique way to manipulate and indoctrinate and control people's minds. I also want to talk about hashtag I got out. I got out is an effort of my colleagues and myself to, like the Me Too movement, yes, I too got out of a mind control cult. Why? Because this young woman talked about being bullied. This young woman talked about how society looks down on us as former members, like there was something wrong with us. And there was nothing wrong with us. We were subjected to deception and mind control and were harmed dramatically. I'm hoping that this young woman and her parents will actually watch this and will consider reading my books, even though they're decades old. I'm sure you can find some old copies, even though it's out of print in Japanese. It's certainly around in English. And I have a lot of material up on my website, freedomofmind.com, on the moon cult. So that said, I want to talk about the psychiatric problems that people have coming out of mind control cults, particularly people born into cults. I was recruited at age 19, so I had an identity prior to the group. So it was relatively easier task for me to re-socialize and go back to college and resume my life. Whereas people like this young woman were born in it and were in a bubble. And as she talked about being bullied at school, it's horrible. And what I wanted to lastly talk about is that I've created an online course to train mental health professionals, but this course will be great for former members, for educators, politicians, anyone who wants a deeper dive into understanding what mind control does from a mental health perspective, and in particular, how to help people recover more effectively from this problem. And we need more training and more aware citizenry around the world, because authoritarian control is on the rise, and we need to protect our human rights. So thank you very much for speaking out. I want to encourage more former members of all types of cults and controlling relationships to speak out. And we can make the world a better place, because I believe it's definitely possible. So thanks very much.